by the way, in case you didn't realize this, today is National Barbecue Day.
Ooh. Oh, really?
Yeah, it's National Barbecue Day and NASCAR Day on the same day. I don't think that's just by chance.
A weird coincidence.
I don't think that's by a weird.
It's also my grandson Bryson's 16th birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday!
Yeah, he gets his driver's license today. He's such a good driver. He's a great kid. So it's his birthday today.
NASCAR Day is his 16th
NASCAR Day.
That's cool.
Oh my gosh!
All right, I was going to go to the other question, but you now segue us into this one now.
Yeah.
16-year-olds and some younger kids are really getting on these e-bikes that possibly are a little overpowered for them.
Yep.
Not Bryson, but some of these other kids that are out there. The county commission has come up with this rule. And tell me how your involvement in this is and where it stands right now. The e-bike rule.
Well, like any law that's that's syntax, ordinance, law, rule, those are kind of things that kind of go hand in hand. There's a process that we have to go through to make sure that we're doing the right thing and that we can put the brakes on something if we're not. Mm-hmm. So there's a process to go through. We're in the process of looking at it. And I'm in support of common sense rules and laws when it comes to e-bikes. I think it's a huge challenge, but I go back to when I was 11 years old riding a mini bike and a lady on the radio saying, mini bikes are dangerous. I'm like, I know. I've got more scars than most when it comes to stuff like that. But one of the things that we really need to do, and this is not an indictment of the sheriff's office, because I think we have one of the best sheriff's departments in the state. I've been all over. I've worked all over from here to Miami, and we have a great sheriff's department. But we have laws in place now that govern bicycles, electric bicycles. They're the same thing. If they got a pedal on it and they're under a certain horsepower, they're considered a bicycle. We have rules of the road for bicycles. So I talked about it in the last meeting. We just need to do the 2 E's. The most effective thing is in education and enforcement. Mm-hmm. We have to get out there and we have to start enforcing the laws, educating people about what those laws are, which is a constant battle. Mm-hmm. And then we need to get out there with enforcement. We need to get out there. We need to start pulling these bicycles over. I saw a guy run. It was one of those, where's the police? And oh my gosh, look, there's one right there. This guy rode through a red light on an e-bike, probably running 40 miles an hour, pulling a little trailer, just right through the red light. Bloom, right? Yeah. And then here comes a deputy after him. I was like, yeah, go get it. But, not that enforcement's fun, but it's sometimes it's necessary to pull somebody over and have a conversation about it, especially when you can allow this behavior to go on and on. The guys are busy and they're out there, taking care of crime. And the one thing I heard a lot is, why are you bothering with me with the traffic thing when there's murderers when there's real criminals out there? And when you look at the statistics of how many people die every year, and it's usually from something really minor and really stupid that we don't pay attention, and so there's a real reason why enforcement of these traffic laws have to be. We have to do that. It has to be a priority. You can't just let it go because it's a minor thing, because it turns into e-bike death or bicycle death or pedestrian death, and those are the challenges that we face. We got laws on the books. Let's go out there and get them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And we had the sheriff in last week and he said it can be used as a tool. He's like, we're not going to be out there targeting, but he called to action on the parents. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the right strategy. Is maybe this law wakes up some parents to say, okay, here's how we're going to manage the e-bike. And instead of just saying carte blanche, get out there and go. Mm-hmm. So I think the parents have to take an active role in the success of this law.
Yeah.
Or it's just not going to work.
No, you're right. And in there lies the challenge. Mm-hmm. We've all seen really, really good parents, and we've all seen bad parents, and we've seen no parents. Mm-hmm. And so, the challenge we face is the education part. our parents are supposed to be the ones responsible in educating us as we grow up about following rules and being good citizens when you grow up. But that sometimes falls through the cracks. And so how do we as a society pick up that role as educator and then enforcer? So it's a challenge. It is. It's always going to be a challenge as long as we live in a free society. So that's but I agree with you. That's something we can do better.
When I was in public school, we had a bike safety section of PE class.
Yeah,
and
we had the rodeo.
Yeah, we had.
Yeah,
We had
the bike rodeo.
Yeah, we had like a month where you learned the rules of the road as a bicyclist, and we all tried on helmets, and we learned the hand signals.
Well, we didn't have helmets in my day.
We didn't have helmets.
We had those leather things. Remember those?
Yeah.
No, I'm just
Football helmets.
oh, football helmets.
We took it from football.
Yeah.
From granite
So
football.
do we not? Is that not part of the PE curriculum anymore? I'm just.
I don't even think they have driver's ed anymore in high school.
No.
We had driver's ed where we actually went out and drove a car in high school.
Yeah, we
Blake,
had a track and a car.
You didn't have driver's ed,
we,
did you?
we went out on the road.
Yeah. No, we did. Blake, you didn't have driver's ed, did you?
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
Like they said,
Yeah, so-
because
Yeah, it was
And he's
it was
24.
a class in school.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a class.
Yeah,
in school.
and the teacher had a brake on his side.
Yeah. Teacher had a break on
Yeah,
his side. That's
we had-
exactly
we
right.
had that
just
car.
like learning to fly your plane.
And we had
yeah.
like a mini.
Yeah, there was an instructor that knew what they were
mini
doing
NASCAR
next to us.
track.
Yeah.
And there was like a parallel park spot, and there
Yep,
was
there was a we used to go to the track
You could
and
do the track and practice.
do
You had
that.
to
And-
drive in front of all
and that
your
was
friends.
even in Palatka back in the 70s.
Yeah.
So back in the 70s.
All right.
Back in the day.
Right now, we're kind of going through the budget hearings and,
Right.
and those things. What is some of the things that's really caught you off guard? Because this is, I mean, when you're on the campaign, you kind of sat in and you were there. Now it's your decision to make on what gets approved. Because I mean, the board kind of sets the budget and is in charge of the county attorney and the county administrator.
Right.
You don't have staff that you manage, but these two in setting policies.
Right.
That's the
goal.
Reader's Digest version of what your job is. This being your first budget hearing, what's the thing that's kind of caught you off guard? And what's the thing that's kind of like, okay, I understand it a lot better now. The aha moment. Great question.
So we as a there have been members, I have to be careful how I say this. There have been members of the board that have expressed a desire to reach rollback. And basically what rollback means is, our property taxes are based on the value, ad valorem, at value of what your property is worth. Mm-hmm. As your value goes up, the amount of money that you pay in property taxes goes up commensurate with that increase in value. Now we do have homestead exemption, which caps that growth. Mm-hmm. And we also have, for non-homestead exemption, we also have a cap at 10%. I think it's 3% for homestead exemption. Mm-hmm. Cap, that's as high as you can go. If the value of your house doesn't go up, if it only goes up 2%, then your ad valorem, the value that you're taxed on will only go up 2%. Mm-hmm. But if it goes up 10%, then if you're homesteaded, you're capped at 3%. So there's a cool thing called homestead exemption, and if you're not taking advantage of it, you need to. But I guess the biggest challenge for me is the inflationary bite on the budget. You think, well, okay, inflation's 3%, but inflation's not 3% in some areas. In some areas, it's 500%. The government doesn't tell you that the cost of a traffic pole is not only tripled, but you can't get it for a year. Mm-hmm. So people are we have great traffic light programs like Brinkhoff in 207 or other places to where we're literally we've appropriated the money, we've signed the contracts, we've let the contracts out, and nothing's happening. And it's the most frustrating thing in the world. And a lot of it has to do with just availability of equipment. But that's happening all over the spectrum. And so for me, I want to reach rollback, and there's a cost to rollback. And in a budget, the cost, you carry that cost over. If let's say rollback costs you $15 million, well, you're going to reduce it by $15 million this year. and it's going to be carried over to next year. You'll always have a deficit of 15 million. So I think as a county, we can handle that until you get into the fact that we're building, 4 new fire stations that have to be manned and equipped. Mm-hmm. And that's going to cost, 4 times what our rollback would be. Mm-hmm. And the money's got to, and
it doesn't do you any good to build them if you can't.
There are no magic wands.
Put bodies in them.
And we have to keep up with the sheriff. We have one of the best sheriff's office in the country that are literally one of the best in the country. And those services that we provide, man, the costs are astronomical. And, just in employment, think about the fact that we signed a minimum. I don't think we have a lot of people on minimum wage, so that doesn't affect us as much. But, the minimum wage goes up $1 every year until it gets to 15. I think it's in 14 this year. Mm-hmm. It's going to be $15. All those costs. If you want to retain your firemen, if you want to pay them a wage that allows them to not have to go out and have 2 or 3 jobs on the side, to support their family, well then, or go somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Retention is always a challenge because it costs us, thousands of dollars to train them and equip them. Mm-hmm. And then if they go somewhere else. So and especially with the sheriff's office is the same thing. There's always turnovers, always challenge. There's always people poaching, coming into our county and poaching our people because they're so good. So it's a huge challenge. It's a lot bigger challenge than I ever thought, but I really feel like, and so this is the good part about being a commissioner, is I get to go into these meetings with these directors and to see how hard they've worked to trim what fat they had so that they can give us what we want. They know we want to roll back, and they're doing everything they can do to get us there. They're warning us of the dangers and the things that they'll have to give up, the services that we'll have to cut. But I also know that, we're in a position economically. I'm hoping, my hopes is that just like we did with Trump and the first 3 years of him, his third year in before COVID, man, we were hitting on all cylinders and the country was in a great place. I'm hoping that we get there again. Mm-hmm. But the challenge is that in his 4th year, because of COVID, we had an amazing crash. Mm-hmm. And we have to be really careful that all of our eggs are not in the same basket, if you will, when it comes to money.
Well, and I want to caution all the commissioners. I was there when we did a rollback in 2007, 2008, and then the state came in and did a mandate rollback. So it doubled down and it almost crippled us. So, and that's still going on over at the state as some of those mandatory, because the governor does not like property taxes. He'd prefer a lot of it to be on the sales tax side and some of the other locations. So I just want to caution, when we talk about rollbacks, I know what it did. We had the number one, at that time, we had the number one out of 67 counties. We had the number one park system out of 67 counties, and it almost crippled us. Luckily, we were able, and you have an amazing source with Jesse Dunn. He's been through exactly what you guys have done before, and he's done it, and he's now your assistant.
He's a wealth of information.
He's really good at. He was our budget. I think he was the assistant budget director at that time, and Doug Timms was the other one. But one of the things I just want to caution you: keep an eye on what's going on with the state before we make a hard decision on what's happening. Yeah. I would love for my property taxes to go down, but I don't want my quality of life to go down too.
Yeah, well, that's the challenge.
I'm comfortable where we're at right now. I definitely don't want it going up.
Yeah.
Well,
let's talk about that.
Yeah, keep an eye on what's happening with the state, because that one's what scares me. If you get your rollback and then you get hit with that, it cripples.
Well, it's not just that. There's so many other things. The state mandated now that utilities have to capture all the sewage that comes through the system. It has to be captured. It has to be dealt with,
and then unfunded mandates.
And then that water has to be utilized again, what they call a blue line. Mm-hmm. And the state said, all right, all 67 counties, you have to do this by 2032. And you think about the burden that it placed on the companies that install the pipes.
Yeah.
So now these companies have 67 counties all at once wanting to come in and to get them to come do their work. and the cost rise. We're talking. I was in a meeting with utilities just a couple of days ago. $1.1 billion is what it's going to cost to do what the state is mandating us to do by 2032. There is no, well, if you get close, we'll give you grace period. No, every county in the state has to do this by 2032, and it's going to cost hundreds of billions of dollars to get it done. And for us, it's, $1.1 billion, and we've got to figure out a way where, we don't have that. So where's it coming from? How are we going to fund that? We have a great utilities director, Neil Shrinky, and he's, they have been working hard, and I think we're ahead of the curve. I think we're going to get in under the wire by several years. But it costs. It's a challenge.
And unfunded mandates go across the board. One of the things on that particular one that kind of bothered me is it's crippling the small utilities, because a lot of people don't realize it's not just St. Johns County utilities here in St. Johns County. I mean, there's like, I think 6 or 7 actual utilities in the county. Not just JEA and the county. And that mandate goes to the small guys too. Are having to do it, and it's crippling because they can't afford to do it. Either that, or they're going to make their people pay way too much than what they can do. Because
Volano's going to cost us a lot of money.
You guys just purchased Volano last year,
right?
And I'm sure it's a small utility, so I'm sure it's not up to St. Johns County standards.
No, it is not, and it's going to cost us a lot of money to bring it up. But I think it's the right thing to do for the people over Volano. They need good services, and the people that did it before were, they're wonderful people, had a great job, but it can get overwhelming, especially when the maintenance, the deferred maintenance piles up on you, and then you realize that this is unsustainable. So we're in the process of building a new, water pressure. They don't have the ability to get water pressure, so we're building a new water tank system over there to help with water pressure. That's going to be, $10 million just so we can get water pressure over there.
Will be just elated.
The Main Street group came in, and they're already really excited about that. There's a lot of good things going on in the county. I know that. I just want to say this while we have time. How do I say this without getting into more trouble than I'm in? We have the best city in the best county in the best state in the best nation in the world. We're so blessed to be here. I know that traffic is an issue. I know that we have issues, but there's no other place I'd rather be than right here in St. Johns County. And sometimes we forget how blessed we are to live in St. Johns County. And I know there's issues, and we're working hard, but boy, we're in a good place. I love this place. I've been here over 3 decades. I've lived in Northeast Florida over 5 decades. I've seen a lot, and there's no better place in St. Johns County to be right now.
And with the utility, tell us the difference between an enterprise fund and a special revenue fund and a general fund, because I don't think a lot of people realize.
He's bringing the big questions out.
A lot of people realize, general fund is almost 100% from ad valorem,
right,
for the most part, and then there's other ones that are out there, but the 3 biggies, because people are probably like, well, why aren't you just taking the money you make on utilities and paying for the beach? You can't do that because we're not a charter government. Everything has to stay in its own
little silo
bucket because it's got Gatsby laws and stuff like that. So utilities is a enterprise fund,
right?
So they basically have to make their own money, and
they pay their own way.
Libraries would be a general fund. They actually have a little bit with fees and stuff like that, but they're a general.
They're dependent upon general revenue for that.
General revenue.
Fire department, sheriff's department, admin services. Those are our general revenue funds. But you're right. Utilities is one of those things that they charge a fee for their services, and they're able to pay their own way. Parks and Recs, they have a few avenues of funding source, but they're still general revenue.
The only one that's really kind of the shared revenue is like the pier.
Yeah.
It
the pier
almost pays for itself.
Beach passes.
Yeah, it almost pays for itself.
I've got a number somewhere of how many beach passes we sold, and they're $50 for the season. Somebody sent me an email that thank you for reminding me that I've got to answer. My goal is to answer every single email that's sent to me, and someone asked me about those fees, and if it's so much cheaper as a resident over a yearly pass than it is someone who's visiting, why are we not giving those same discounts to the handicap stickers? So there's a lot of questions to be answered. There's a lot of work to be done. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. There are enterprise funds and general revenue funds, and they're in different buckets. Parks and Recs, people are talking about, the parks. We have great parks. Well, why don't you take this money from over here and put it over there? And a lot of the funding that comes in for Parks and Recs is from impact fees, and so they have to stay in their silo, in their bucket. You can use them
in their district.
Yeah, you can use them within there's 4 districts in the county. You can use them anywhere in that district, but you can't just use them for anything. They've got to be certain things. There's those things called laws that we have to follow.
And a great story going back to that time of the recession. You can ask Jesse Dunn about this. I had been saving up my impact fees because I felt the recession was coming, and Doug and Jesse sweeped my impact fees that I've been saving for Parks and Rec to pay debt, and I was just crushed. I was devastated. Well, they didn't tell me until the budget hearing what they had done, and I'm looking at it, and now I have to present to everybody without trying to kill them at the same time.
Yeah.
So okay, one of the things, and I wanted to ask this question. I can't not ask this question as a person who owns a boat. Boat ramps, we're still at about the same number we've been at for about the 20 years. We purchased the land near 312.
Right.
Do we know where we're at with that project? And there is a boat ramp in that plan? At least
in the plan.
In the original plan.
There is.
Do we know approximately where we're at with that? Because so many people are like, we purchased this, but now what's happening with that?
Well, so here's the where's the magic wand issue? It's going to cost us about $30 million to do that project. We purchased the land, but now we need about $30 million, and what we're doing is, to be good stewards, is that we're finding pieces where we can, and then adding to that, so that it's not an assessment we're going to make on the people. We're going to find a way to use it with existing funds, and that's been a challenge. We're looking for grants. We're looking for ways to get the money. We don't want to piecemeal it. We want to have the money in the bank so that when we go, we can get the whole thing done. I've seen the site plan. I've walked the land. It's going to be amazing. There's going to be a ton of parking, which is one of the things that we talked about. This is so important, is that we have to have parking for boats and boat trailers. But it's really going to be nice. Getting in and getting out of that area is going to be a challenge. So there's some things that they're trying to do with that. And
it's a beautiful piece of land.
It's a beautiful piece of land.
It'll qualify for FIND. It'll qualify for FIRDAP. I mean, there's so many grants out there, and I know the crew over there, Ryan and Jamie over there, are working hard on it.
They're working really hard.
But it's one of those situations. As a boater, we're like, okay,
come on, let's go.
Come on. As you're waiting your turn at Doug Crane or at Milano, okay, man, we really need to add.
We do. It's coming. We're just trying to be good stewards with the funds that we have, and make sure that we have the money in the bank before we kick it off, because there's always going to be something to come up, like the budget that comes up, and they're like, oh wait, we can. There goes your hard-earned money. So we're just trying to. The site plan is beautiful. I've got a picture of it up in my office. I keep it up there, and I turn and look at it almost every day. I look at it. I go, man, that's going to be pretty. It's really going to be pretty.
I want it now. I'm sure that's what everyone wants.
Where's my magic wand again?
I'm sure that's what everybody wants.
We got to get a magic wand issued to Mr. Clay here.
I need a magic wand.
All right. Well, thank you, Clay. Appreciate you coming in. And so much information. I mean, we could probably talk another couple hours.
We could. It's crazy. I'm like, we need to talk about this.
I know.
But hey, the one thing is we elected you to be you.
Yeah.
So always just be you.
Yeah.
So that's the only takeaway I can give you, because you're doing an amazing job. Just always be you.
Yeah. Well, shout out to my wife and my grandson Bryson. Happy birthday, buddy! And my wife, she's amazing. She's the engine that drives all this, and I'm just the dumb bus driver. So happy to be along for the ride with her. So
thank you for being here.
yeah, thanks.